Hello, I've had a very boring day of work, so I'm going to hit some monsters now. Uh, I think I'm pretty well set up from last time to just keep on trucking away at high rank, so that's probably my plan here. I have no idea what the actual key quests are, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I guess, yeah, I'll start with the 2 Volvidons. Sounds like an alright option. I don't think we can, at least not the food that I'm going to eat, defend against the Volvidon's elemental effectiveness specifically. But that's fine. I'll take this thunder one just in case. The paralysis is based on a thunder element. Oh, I got a voucher for that. Always fun. Vouchers are nice when you're doing missions that you feel like you want a little bit of an extra kick for. They improve the benefits you get from eating even further. But as is, 2 Volvidon will probably be fine. And I was kind of debating with this game how far I want to go. Because I have a tendency with this channel to play a Monster Hunter game and then take a break from Monster Hunter by playing an RPG. I will probably continue that same habit, depending on how I feel when I finish this game. But there's no reason to rush it. And there's still a fair amount to go, given that, like, we have beat the game, air quotes. But we haven't hit credits yet, so, you know. That's a whole other thing. There's another monster from the title that I want to fight. Really. It's, you see it in the introductory cutscene as the end, and it's kind of like this monster in a pool of lava, and he does an angry, kind of bassy, echoey cry, and that is the guy that, I'll probably consider it as the end of the Let's Play, depending on what's there. I mean, it does mean I'd have to go into G rank, but this is probably one of the better games to solo G rank. The only other time I've really even had the option to do it is when I was playing Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. And Unite is awesome, but it is just really brutal when it comes to hitboxes and stuff like that. And then it has a lot of insta-kill attacks and a lot of frustrating elements that just make the solo G-rank experience not very fun. Like, it's possible. I have gone through a fair chunk of it myself back in the day. It's not like people haven't done it historically. But no one is going to go and argue that it isn't a tedious process when you're doing it by yourself. It takes a lot of time. Sometimes runs just go wrong. You know, you could just whiff a single attack and then you're dead now because of the insta-kill attacks. So it's really punishing even if you know what you're doing. And it kind of demands a degree of perfection that, while possible to achieve, isn't just always what you want to do with your time. Sometimes you just want to have a more B+ experience and still get to the end. Or, you know, give a B+ performance, maybe. Is more accurate to say. Which I think is fair. Like, I like when a game has the potential to really require your focus, but I also inherently am a bit of a lazy person, and for the most part, if I only have to apply half of my ass to something, that is my preferred, like, ratio of ass to use. You can full ass things, and it's possible, and it's good to do that every now and then, but it's also exhausting, you know? It's good to give yourself a break, especially when you're playing a video game and you're trying to relax. No, you know, that is definitely an issue I see nowadays. And, like, depending on how competitive you are, maybe that's the fun you get out of it. But far too many games are trying to be esports, where they could just be a fun experience. I think it's interesting that Monster Hunter hasn't really gone up to the level of an esport. Because I could very easily see, you know, competitive modes or competitive hunts, two different teams running the same quest on two different screens, different tactics, maybe a method of scoring between each other, but it would kind of feel more like a really high-end drinking game that you play at a college party compared to a real sports league. Unless you've made like a multiplayer mode or something with high scores or a time trial mode or something, you know? Otherwise, it kind of defaults to speed run logic where you just post your best time for stuff, and that's about the height of interconnectivity, other than, you know, playing together. But I actually have the unpopular opinion that Monster Hunter is a little bit worse when you're playing with other people. Like, it can be fun if you're changing up the pace of something, but the actual, like, challenge to overcome is largely having the monster focused on you and having to deal with that. Like, even these little assistants, the Cha-Cha and Kiamba, or the felines in the other games, you could argue that they dilute, like, the purity of the combat. They're like using summons in Dark Souls. Like, sometimes they're just, it's great to get through a boss fight, but it can feel like you're not getting 100% of the experience sometimes. Now, that being said, as you move up to like high rank or G rank, the little bit of distraction is very welcome when you're soloing it. But even then, it can mess you up. I've definitely had situations where I thought something was aggroed on me, so an attack was going to go a very specific direction. I dodged in the direction that I believed was correct. It was not correct. And, you know, I zagged when I should have zigged. I always say it the other way. I wanted to see how it felt in my mouth inverse, and didn't feel good. Do not recommend. Oh, okay. I got really lucky there. I shouldn't have approached while he was doing that, like, spray fumes everywhere move. But I got lucky. Also kind of continuing to get lucky in that these two are splitting up. So I have, like, the halved health pool of doing a double hunt. And then they're not really bothering with each other a terrible amount. So it's kind of just like doing two quick solo fights. Much easier. Nice. Yeah, generally, I find, I don't know, I want to charge more, but like when I play Monster Hunter World, for example, I actually charge the weapon, the greatsword, a lot, because I just feel like it got a little bit faster, and it's more beneficial to do it then. Here, just, I don't know, maybe it's just the way the effect is applied, like the impact, the almost like slowing down at the moment of impact that lets you really feel like it did a lot. Well, the charge attack in the older games never felt like it hits hard enough to me, and it takes so much longer that it's kind of just like, I'd rather get 4 or 5 regular hits in than one charged attack of, you know, how much better can it be? Unless it's like 350%. And even then, you know, like if it's 350%, if I get 4 hits, I've now done 50% more damage in the same period of time, right? So it would have to be a pretty significant bonus and difference for it to really be worth it in that interval, as I see it. And maybe I'm wrong, right? Like, I don't know the high-end math of Monster Hunter damage. I've never done like a parse where I presumably inject or use a existing hook to read all of the damage being done systematically. Haven't measured it, don't know, but I've just played a lot of the game and what it feels like. It's all feels at a certain point. Although some games are more like, I want to say not tactical, but like you can get feedback from them and you have a good sense of what's going to happen, what's not. Like, depending on the game, like maybe a pixel game, you may not have any sense of where something is going to move because it doesn't naturally lean in any direction or have like a momentum, so to speak. It just kind of goes from keyframe to keyframe to frame to frame to whatever. But when you have something 3D, it's like heading a physical direction. You can kind of see the speed, and generally that's something that you have to manage more. But in 2D, it can be done, and when a game does it in 2D, like, it feels really, really good. Like when you're moving and your character takes a second to stop, and little dust flies up as they, you know, stamp on the ground. That feels amazing. And it's probably one of like my biggest issues, or not so much issues, or the reasons I don't play as many pixel art games as I kind of wish I did. But immersion is really important to me, as is the ability to like feel like I am the character that I am. Like in Monster Hunter, I could imagine, you know, I'm some mercenary hunter in a different world taking on these quests, handling this lifestyle, doing all those things. Like, you know, you can put yourself behind the mask, so to speak. But I've always found it really difficult to do with like a side-scrolling 2D game, because I don't live in a 2D world. And it's just like, while I recognize the arcade implications, and like there are really fun 2D scrollers and stuff. I really do like Castlevania. But even then, there's an element of like, how do people live in this world? Do they not recognize that everything is 2D? Is it 3D to them? Is this just how it's being presented to me? How do people pass each other? Like, what does it feel like to be in a big room? You know, there's just so many things about, like, I can't tell myself a story from that character's perspective without understanding how to describe it. And I don't know how to understand a 2D environment, like from the perspective of the character, without flat out ignoring it. You know? Like, if you're in a field, you'd be like, oh, the grass and the pathways and the trees in the distance, and we're in a little valley and stuff like that. But if it's 2D, it's like there's a green line that stretches on till the end of the stream or for eternity, and then I hit a loading screen and it's different. Like, some games handle the transitions and stuff well too, or even like the moving to the foreground and the background to give the impression of 3D. But even then, that kind of opens up more questions than it does answer anything. Because like, if you look at Paper Mario, for an example, that is, all the characters are 2D, but they exist in a 3D world. They can move forwards, backwards, left, right, diagonal, and all that. They can jump, they can go down. And despite the fact that they only have 2 dimensions, they live in a 3-dimensional world. So I found it really easy to like role play in my head for Paper Mario, despite the oddity of that sentence. But conversely, like a 2D Mario game, there's like no potential to put myself in that. Like, I'm only playing it for the arcade value of what's there. But I wish that wasn't the case. There are definitely a lot of good games in that genre that I'm probably missing out on. And sometimes I will play them and like I regret not. It's definitely happened. Where the story is good or the challenge is there. It is almost hard to sometimes completely remove this is something I would play at an arcade from my mind, but that doesn't always have to be a detriment. And I don't really think this Volvidon has much longer in him, which is good. I'm glad that even though the transition to high rank has happened fully at this point in time, the hunt times aren't too ridiculous. Oh, my bad. Oh, I guess I should probably use a hot drink too, eh? Oh, no, not cold drink, hot drink. Oh, wait. No, that's the wrong thing. Alright, now I'm just gonna take a bunch of hits because I was fiddling with my menu. As I guess nature has intended. Sometimes bad stuff just happens. You know, it can be frustrating for sure. But as you have more and more bad things happen to you, I think you generally just kind of get better at going, well, whatever. I didn't expect it to be perfect anyways. Which is a little bit defeatist, but it prepares you for reality. I've done, even just the past 2 days, I've done like some dumb stuff. Not intentionally, not critically. You know, no infrastructure is going down. But I just made some mistakes in my own projects and things like that, and lost some time. And well, it sucks, and you kind of just got to be at peace with grumbling for a little while. It isn't the end of the world. It happens. That's also why, you know, games are so useful. Even now, I'm feeling better about the fact that, you know, my ears are just drenched in brain juices. And my head is collapsing in on itself out of boredom. Just turning into a little black hole, slowly sucking away. And nothing's wrong. Everything went out great. Just boring. I think it's like one of those difficult human situations that a lot of people are experiencing. Like, you don't want to leave your security, but it's not exactly engaging. And then if you look at doing it for the rest of your life, it makes you feel like a lot of despair. But so does all of the alternatives. So you just kind of like grumble and go, well, I guess. That's most of adult life, I think. Okay, I'd really love to be able to use my health potions now, but I've been covered in grossness, so now I can't. Now I can. Perfect. Take full advantage. Oh. I had a false hope that that tree would save me more. Clearly it didn't. Ow. Bro. Okay. Now we are ready for this Volvidon, and I would not be surprised if this thing was a silver or gold crown. It is big. Nah. I hate when my perception is off or my perspective is off and I miss by like a foot. It's the danger of always trying to optimize where I'm getting my weapon to hit. Like it was effective there and we won the fight. But I'm always trying to just hit the tip of my sword, which does, of course, run the risk of being too far away. Oh well. Victory is victory is victory. I don't see anything to mine around here last minute. That's fine. I'm not too upset with that time. I'm only at like 20 minutes total in this episode or so far. There's abouts, and that means those things clearly didn't take much time. Always a benefit. There are definitely like little difficulty differences between a lot of the Monster Hunter games. Like, you could argue that Unite is probably the hardest. I would agree with that assessment. From a general difficulty standpoint, because even though the original game and arguably Freedom 1 had worse hitboxes if you're looking at the whole history of the game, and yeah, look at that silver. Unite had high rank and G rank content, which is just it had not perfect hitboxes on top of being incredibly difficult. Ho there, hold up, I've got news for you. I was out patrolling the woods after sundown when I caught a glimpse of a Volvodon. So don't be surprised if you start encountering Volvodon while you're out on one of those night hikes of yours. Remember, I'm your man for local knowledge. Check the Mocha forecast before heading out. Okay, bro. Always good to get an update on what we could have assumed. Now, granted, I haven't gone and played 4 yet, which is yeah, that's good English right there. Which is what will be after this title when I do play another Monster Hunter game. I'm going to debate if it's going to be Dark Cloud next or Monster Hunter 4 U. And it was really convenient for me. I ended up actually buying my copy of 4U to put on my 3DS and bring over to my computer right before the 3DS store had closed permanently. So it was like that last ditch to get a legitimate copy. But I never wanted to play it on my 3DS. I knew it was out there. And I even had, at a time, the little expansion for the 3DS that had like a circle pad. But it just felt like too small of a screen to play Monster Hunter on. I had played the PSP versions, and that was okay for a while. But after I moved up to the TV with this version of the game and Try, and then my imported version of Third Portable, it was just like, it was too tough to go back to the small experience. I don't know what I'm eating for. What is my quest? Let me actually learn what I'm supposed to do. I can only imagine that Jade Baroth is one of the essentials, as well as the Baleful Gigadox. But I'll take care of these 2 Lagombi first. Which means Icebreaker is probably what I want to go for. Now, I've heard 4 is one of the best Monster Hunter games, but I haven't heard that it's like one of the most difficult. I've heard that Double Cross or Generations Ultimate is pretty brutal, and I think I'm gonna get there. It's gonna feel weird though in a way, because while I'm excited to play that game, as I understand it, it's a game that is kind of like a world tour of all the other old Monster Hunter games, and having just done a tour from all of the old Monster Hunter games, I'm not sure if it's going to feel like a new experience, or if it's going to feel like redoing the entirety of every Monster Hunter Let's Play I've already done. And so we'll see. It'll be interesting nonetheless. Especially now that I'll be able to actually put it on a bigger screen. That was definitely the detriment from before. And I guess the copy I have is an imported copy of Double Cross. So it's actually called Double Cross for some reason. Like, I can explain some things in the world. I can't explain how some Japanese games get named when they get localized. Like, I don't know, man. There are some interesting titles that approach algebraic equations at times, and you just kind of got to go with it. Cool. I kind of imagine this Lagombi hunt is going to go pretty similar to the Volvodon hunt. You know, about the same window of time. They're together right now, but I imagine if I focus on one over the other, it'll all be okay, and he'll eventually flee, and then they can separate, and it's a little easier to whittle him down. Although I don't love the reduced stamina at this moment. Not much to do about it. And they keep on throwing ice around, so it looks like that hurts them, which is good. They're not immune to their own attacks. There are some games like that I'm really excited to see on my computer, because I've played a lot of Monster Hunter World on PlayStation. But it will be really fascinating to see how my computer handles it. Because a lot of the issues that some of these games have, and I guess some Capcom games have, is that they can be more locked to the performance of your CPU compared to your GPU. Because the Resident Evil engine, or the RE engine, is really, really good at handling a lot of different graphics at different fidelity levels and resolutions and stuff. But I guess it's starting to show a shortcoming in handling multiple kind of like processed events. So it's being used in Dragon's Dogma 2 right now, and it looks amazing. But I guess the amount of NPCs and monsters on the map and things going on in the open world has really stressed the engine out, and unless you have an incredibly powerful CPU, processing all of those kind of like synchronous events causes a pretty severe impact on FPS. To the point where I guess one of the ways to improve FPS is to start killing NPCs, because it removes them from the world, and thus your CPU gets more break every single time that one of them dies. Which is kind of hilarious and horrible. But I don't have that issue for the most part on my computer, because a lot of people, and this is very common in builds, is you'll see like a monster GPU and then a very like low to mid and level CPU. And you know, some people say, well, like, you don't need it for games, it's just the GPU. But the CPU delivers frames to the GPU. You know, it can't process an image if it hasn't been told to do it. And the more complex that image or the content that has to be presented, the better you want that ability to communicate what has to be done. And that's really why it doesn't pay off in the long run to skimp on a CPU. Honestly, I would say if you're just building a computer and you don't know what to prioritize, get a mid-level GPU and then get a high-end CPU. Because once that's in your motherboard and it's there and the pins are all set, like, you don't really want to mess around with that. You can reset CPUs, you can take them out, but if you bend a pin, then it is difficult to set correctly. Whereas if you're upgrading a GPU, it just uses a PCIe slot, and as long as you unscrew everything and you're careful as you plug it out, you can more or less plug and play them. That's, you know, to the benefit. But if you do have a good CPU right from the get-go, you have a very strong computer. Maybe it's not going to be like the cutting edge of gaming experiences until you do that other upgrade. But you'll still be, you know, browsing very, very competently. You'll be going through the actual OS. Like, people undervalue opening up a menu on their computer to get to the games quicker. But having a good CPU really reduces all of that time between events, to the point where I notice it even in the difference between an i7 and an i9. Like, anecdotally, I'm using at work, I think like a 1300 i7, which is just about the previous generation of brand new processors. It uses like a new die, and it's like a rectangular shape. They have a really ridiculous power draw, so they have overheating issues, absolutely. And, you know, arguably there's some architectural performance improvements. Then using my i9 personally, I'm using still a 9900K, which is about 4 or 5 generations behind now. And my personal computer kicks the crap out of my work computer, even though it has technically a newer CPU by a few generations. Just the fact that it is the lower grade model, the i7 to i9, I notice a difference with everything, even opening the same browser. Using Firefox, the exact same add-ons installed, not doing anything too different content-wise. It is insane how much better it feels to my personal computer using an i9 compared to the i7. Now, if you're like not pedantic and annoying like I am, you very well may never notice the little bit of loading differences, but it makes my brain sing. It's a very happiness-inducing thing. But in some games that folks have said really chugged, a lot of those games are CPU driven games, and I've had a really flawless experience. There were probably some games that ran really well or smoother than other people with comparative specs may have, because when I had a 1050 Ti, that was the first GPU I built with this computer, it was fine. Oh, is my analog? Okay, I'm fine. But when I was playing like modern games, the only thing that would take time would maybe be like the loading of textures, or there might be some pop-in. But the actual processing of things, menus opening, modifying things, going in between, typically the frame rate associated with processing whatever had to happen, so smooth. And that made it easier to handle maybe having to set everything to medium, because it was a really smooth medium. I do think as well, as people become more technologically literate, we're going to see a wider amount of things being measured when it comes to games. Like, you know, with even continuing the example of Dragon's Dogma 2, it's kind of getting hit right now for its low FPS. And in the current generation, like sub 30 FPS just isn't acceptable. Like, it's the reality of it. PC gaming has been plus 60 FPS probably since the launch of Mass Effect back in the day, like the very, very first one. That would have been 2006 or something like that. I'm pretty sure PC gaming has been 60 FPS or die since around that point. Hardware was capable of doing it on PC, but consoles hadn't caught up yet. And now we're in an era where, you know, PC, you're looking at 120 FPS as the standard for like high-end machines and monitors. We're even approaching the possibility of 240 as a new high-end standard. But consoles, it's okay that they're a little bit behind. They're an incredible bargain for how much power they have. You can't go back once the standard is set. You know, we're at 60 now. And if you're going to put something at 30 or less, you're probably you're going to get hit for it, even if it's a really good game, which is the issue that's happening with Dragon's Dogma 2. Is like, it's getting amazing reviews, and even the people that are giving it amazing reviews are like, it's running pretty choppy right now, but it's so fun, I want to push through the choppiness, which is, you know, a good thing, but you can't do that. You can't have sub 30 FPS, but what you could do, if, you know, to kind of like iron out the hits of 30 FPS, is discussing or showcasing the frame pacing. That's a whole other element that doesn't always become relevant, because if you're just shooting for high FPS, then it could be that the frame pacing isn't super relevant, with some exceptions, right? Like I think the game 7 Days to Die. It's a zombie survival game that at a core I think is really good. But it has really wonky frame pacing. So even if you're getting 60 frames per second, it feels like those 60 frames per second are being delivered to your screen on a conveyor belt that's like run by a hamster. And despite your best intentions, and even like jacking it up to run as good as it can, adding VSync, turning off VSync, doing whatever you can to improve that image or latency or how quickly you feel the impact of moving, it's not always there. But you compare Tears of the Kingdom, which is, you know, a 30 FPS locked game, and it has amazing frame pacing. So while it is 30 FPS, you never feel like you move your camera and it stops, or it does it in movements, like there were knocks in the camera that it was going to along an axis instead of like a smooth curve, if that makes sense. And that's kind of the benefit of good frame pacing, is even if, you know, things are only moving at a certain frame rate, it's consistent as movement and motion occurs. As you change the frame or the perspective, it doesn't feel like things are bleeding or jumping from their positions. And if a game like Dragon's Dogma 2 like came out, was like, hey, right now this is 30 FPS, we're working on improving that, but look at how beautiful this 30 FPS is, look at how smooth the motion is, you know, it would feel like less of a loss. And it's weird too, because I grew up with games like, you expected the game to start performing bad when certain things happened. You know, you're like, oh, I'm going into a big battle. I better prepare like my actions a few seconds in advance, because when I press this button, it's not going to happen for a while. Like I grew up with that being the standard. But standards change. You know, we don't use arsenic and lead anymore. We shouldn't have sub 30 FPS in our games. It's just decency. And, you know, there is a legitimate benefit there, too, because, like, really choppy gameplay can actually, like, have ramifications for people. More choppiness and stutteriness, I only imagine, could be more provoking of epileptic conditions or provoking for seizures. I know it gives me a headache and motion sickness when a game gets really choppy. So I can only imagine if you're sensitive to like stuttering, that's really frustrating. And it's definitely not going to make you better at the game. That's for sure. Alright, I'm gonna risk a sharpen here. Hey, look at that. It was all worth it. Yeah, I kind of wish I had some stamina healing items, but I am honestly quite bad at keeping those up. I don't know. I have no good excuse. I'm always like this. Even in World and Rise, and even when I'm playing solo, I usually I just don't like cook my meats or something. I guess it depends on the title, because some of the games it's easier to do. You can like give it to the chef and they'll do it while you're over missions. But if you have to manually sit there and cook like 100 pieces of meats, pressing the A button at the right time every single time for every single one, it's just like, I'm just gonna learn to not need stamina. That is really, like, thinking about it, that is the epitome of male laziness. I'm not saying, you know, anyone couldn't do that, but when I think of like how I and dudes I have known in the past are lazy, that's exactly the core of it. It's like, whatever. We'll just not do it at all. We'll remove it from the list. Won't even get done badly. It just won't be done. Which I guess is commendable. It all depends on your perspective. I would rather something not be done than done badly. Because, I don't know, it's just how I am. There's more to be upset when it's like close but not enough. I don't know. That's not fair. Because, like, you know, trying and making the effort is important. But equally, I guess, yeah, I feel that sentiment more when it comes to work. Like, if you ever come into work and your day starts with a manager being like, I just decided to try something out and let me know how you feel. And then you're like, oh no, what has happened? That's usually the type of situation where it's like, if this has gone perfectly, that's great. But I have to imagine it hasn't. So what do I now need to be worried about is probably more where I'm coming from with that line of thought. Oh God, loading screens. Come on, man. Yeah, he is limping, so I can't imagine this is gonna go much longer. Although these two quests have gone pretty smoothly, so it may well be that I have to do a third. There we go. None too bad. And we are in a space where there was stuff to mine here, but maybe not anymore. That's fine. I love how Monster Hunter is like horrified of having to expand the text fields, so it just does abbreviations no matter how incoherent it could be. Like, I guess I don't know what a plastron is. I don't know if that's actually like a animal part that exists in reality, but Lagome Plastron Plus doesn't exactly... Oh God. No, I don't want to discard that. God, press the wrong buttons. Oh, well, I could have been mining. Instead, I was screwing around with my inventory. A lesson for the ages. Cool. Do I want to save my progress? You bet. I have so many jewels. Like, it's not a bad thing, but really suggests to me that I should get around to doing that. Oh well. Go buy some more herbs and potions here. All right, what do we got? Got a Gobel. Yeah, I feel like that's the best for this little time slot that we have remaining, whatever sentence. Oh, it's tragic. There's a Gobel in the flooded forest. It tore up my mates, and now trade in the region is ruined. Anybody, please stop the beast before it hurts anyone else. All right, I love how this person's like written in their accent. That would be hilarious if it actually happened in real life. Like, some people will use colloquial terms or something like that, but I don't think anyone, like even the thickest Scottish accent, is writing in their accent to their requests for help or something. If so, that's hilarious, but I don't think I've ever seen that. Usually I have come to understand that written communication is like the sacred ground of people who maybe have spoken communication issues or accent differences and stuff like that. So the idea that people would still have those issues even when they're emailing is hilarious to me. But no, that doesn't exist. All right. I got everything. I got potions. Let's go hunt a Gobel. This is a fun spot to start. Is the Gobel down here? I don't know. This area always feels so serene. Like, I would want to hang out in a place like this. It would be fun to have a little fire going, hang out, you know, camp maybe. There's something, I don't know, I feel safe in caves, which I probably shouldn't, because they're claustrophobic places where other animals take refuge. And insects and illnesses and, you know, natural disasters, you're screwed pretty quick. Like, caves are not safe places, but my brain tells me, ooh, many walls, darkness, good. But we had to unlearn those things. It's like, you know, wanting to keep every jar that you find. The impulse makes sense. And many of us have probably been at a point in our lives where we needed to put something in something else and couldn't, or didn't have something. But, I don't know. I can't shake it. I see a jar and I just like think of all the things that that jar could be, or you could put in that jar. And it's kind of like an exciting, maybe even like reassuring experience or thought. You know, I could always do something new. I could create something. I could capture something. I could put it in this thing. But when you also take a moment to consider that, you're like, I need to stop collecting jars and just throw them out or recycle them like a normal person, because this is insane. Okay, so this is the Gobel. He's hiding. He won't like us very much, but we're just gonna smack him a bunch. Oh, okay, cool. So we're immediately going to upend him because we saw through his illusion. Oh, there's a Royal Ludroth here. That is far from ideal, given that this is a tiny little spot of water. Oh, well. Yeah, if I had an electricity weapon, that would be fantastic right around now. But I don't, so whatever, we'll suffice. I have to imagine that the Goebel is still within reasonable parameters for our weapon. Oh, that was bad. I wanted to be, and just, ooh, am I gonna unintentionally get carded here because I'm just getting, like, ganged up on? I very well may. I am knocked out, so I'm expecting a cart now. Oof. Yeah, oh, wow. I'm able to get out of that? That is genuinely shocking. I would have expected for sure something would tap me, and I would have went down. Okay, well, let's get back into the pool with the Goebel. Okay, the Goebel's getting out now. I guess that's fine. I'll fight it on land. I don't really think the Goebel is good on land, so we gain a massive benefit if it's decided to come over here, but no, we're back in the water. That's fine. Oh, hey. Okay, appear right underneath me, bro. That's cool. Uh, yeah, maybe we can move this fight a little bit more over here, Goebel? Do you think that's reasonable, partner? Fighting in what is effectively an underground hallway doesn't exactly appeal to me. I mean, okay. I can't say that's the outcome I expected, but I will take what I can get. Definitely, like, I'm glad that my recording software can keep up with the weird mix of visibility and murkiness and everything that is the underwater combat in this game. But if you're ever looking at your screen and being like, it looks a little bit washed out, that is just how it looks in this section of the game. The underwater, to like kind of communicate that the water is not perfectly clear, I think it applies some recoloring. Which, I mean, makes sense. You want to feel like, you know, something is in front of the camera, air quotes. Yeah, I'm just gonna go focus on his tail while he's spending time being weird. Oh, I guess he's leaving now. That's fine. Oh no. Yeah, that's my bad. I got distracted with my thoughts there. I just realized a way that I could kind of use some old footage from something that I messed up this weekend, but kind of still get some value out of it, even though I need to re-record something. I can turn things into a joke, which at the end of the day is probably the best way to handle any mistake. For the most part, like, if you have a child that you don't like, don't, you know, try and just get some laughs out of the situation. That is not an appropriate strategy. Radical misinterpretation of my advice. Wow, I love the just audacity of Goebel to be like, you know what? I can swim through land. I'm just going to displace physical matter as I slink through it. Don't worry about it. That is some confidence. Okay, now is he hiding here? I can only imagine he is, because he's underground right here. So let's attack all of this. Oh no, my attacking wasn't beneficial or something. Although his using the flash bomb thing in his head wasn't actually to his benefit, because he already knocked me out, so I didn't see it. I think it would be cool if I could get a tail cut. I have no, like, belief that that's inherently what's going to happen, but it'd be cool to try. Oh, okay. I don't know. I'm gonna get... I don't know what that really is called, but hey, Cha-Cha will save me. It's fine. Oh, it feels like I'm like just at the edge of being able to hit this guy. Always afraid I'm gonna miss. Alright, Goebel, where are you going? Are you even hurt? I don't know, I feel like... if we were approaching limping, I would be happy. Hey, look at that. My little minion got a break. Okay. Finished in this area. Mm-hmm. Oh, he ate something? I guess that's what he's doing. Nomming away. Well, sorry to disrupt your relaxation time here, Goble. Oh, God. Okay, can we get a tail it? No, he's gonna spin. Hey, look, we broke the tail. A+. It's everything I ever wanted. I was really hoping I was going to get a feint or something there with that hit, so that I did was fantastic. I did not want to get got. Ah, darn it. I didn't need to use that health. Oh well. Oh, no. Oh dear. Got pulled into the thing. Okay, I have to imagine we're somewhere in the realm of being close to finishing this guy off. Definitely feels like there's a lot of breaks that have already happened. And while he's knocked me around a few times, DPS hasn't been too bad. I guess we'll just have to see. Show me a sign of weakness, man. Yeah, like that. Exactly. A very clear limp indicates I'm doing the right types of things. Oh. Okay. Come on out of the corner, Goble. Nobody's doing business in the corner. Come on. There we go. Okay. Not a lot of interesting things happening right now, if I'm being honest. Just kind of moving in the same circle, dealing damage, trying not to get hit by these underwater sprints or darts, I guess you could call them. Like, really quick movements forward. Definitely a benefit that you don't have to worry about breathing very much underwater. Like, you do, but you have such a reserve of oxygen. It's like your lungs or diving tanks or something. Which I would do, you know, if you could have like an oxygen reserve internally. If you stop breathing for a certain amount of time, it kicks in, then you have a certain amount of oxygen, and all you have to do is close your mouth to access it. You know, I'd be into it. It'd be really nice, like, if you were in a smoky environment or something, and you needed to, not lose consciousness. Yeah, if I had brought an elemental electrical weapon, this probably would have gone a bit quicker. But I don't really think I have one that's high rank. Maybe the Baleful Giganox would have been the path to upgrade that. Get a high rank one. But other than the Baleful Giganox, I actually don't know. Yeah. Okay, well now he's still wounded, still limping, but he's leaving this cave area, which I don't love. Oh, there goes my paintball. Wow, he's just lowering the population of these monsters here to eat. Hey, there we go. Objective complete. All right. See what high rank global parts we got, but pretty pleased with that, especially considering I haven't really upgraded my armor for high rank yet. Just keep on kind of trucking through, hoping this will be good enough. I don't see anything to mine. Oh, there is. Let's see if we can get to it. Come here. Come here, blue mining spot. What joys do you have for me? My iron pickaxe is broken? No. Oh, and bathosite. I don't even know if I've used bathosite for anything yet. I think it's like the high rank version of pelagisite, another like underground or underwater condensed ore. Or some analog of amber or something. Alright, lots of hide, bones, advanced armor spheres. Can't be upset about that haul. Sweet. No one has any messages for me. I'll buy my potions, replace my herbs. And that'll probably be it for right now. This guy's going to tell me that a Goble is at the woods at night, which is great. Good to know. And I don't think the armor is something we can view yet, is it? Okay, we can. Oh, I can look at the Plesioth gear. Wow, I do not like that hat. That is not for me. It kind of looks like you have the most aggressive, like, Karen haircut of all time. And it just happens to be made out of Plesioth scales. Like, that is max level, can I ask for your manager armor. Brutal. Oh, that one's always cool. That one's been in the game forever. Like this pumpkin type head cloak thing. The Gobel is kind of cool gear. I like the head antenna. Yeah. This is a cool look to it. Ah, well. Thanks for watching this episode of Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. I'm just going to keep on going through high rank as I continue on here, so feel welcome to check it out. Otherwise, hope you have a good one. Bye.